the idea is to surprise the audience and get them to, but they have to be a co-conspirator.
Go on.
They have to be like, well, like I remember going back to Martin Landau. He says, if you do too much, if you start to reveal too much, the audience backs away because they have to do that part. They have to do their part.
And if you make a joke too obvious, and they see it coming, then they don't laugh so much. But if you surprise them because they have to make a little jump in their understanding, then you get the big laugh.
There was in my movie. You couldn't put it in the same conversation as Fish Called Wanda, but in Deuce Bigalow, the thing that made me laugh so much was a guy who goes into the bathroom. He's washing his hands, and there's always a bathroom attendant, which I always find a very odd job to go like, you know what I want to do one day. I know what I can do. I can work at a men's urinal. That's what I can do. And I'll get tips, and it'll be fun, and there'll be mints, and there'll be little things they can put, they can have gum and chiclets, and I've got it. So where do I go to school for that? So I go to wash my hands, and then the guy stands there, puts the soap, and he turns on the faucet for you,
Oh, yes,
They turn on the faucet, right? They give you the soap. You're washing the hands, and then the next thing, and then he gives you the towel. And I just thought it'd be fun if I turned to go, after all that, to go, Dad, I've got a question. And I just thought that, and then
you ad-libbed that?
No, that was in the script.
Was in the script. That's very good.
And then you have a scene with the dad getting advice, and then you have, of course, very much like, in my mind, I was thinking of, in the cheese shop scene, you have the harp, the player. It's just another thing to annoy the audience and annoy him, and they get to see how annoyed you are as this stuff is going on, and you're pretending it doesn't bother you.
And then they forget about it, and then you shout at them. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but it's only funny if you shout at them after they've forgotten about it because they got what's the word? Accustomed to it.
They have, but it's still there, and it must be for some reason, but then they do forget about it. The harp must be there for some reason, but then they forget about it, and the next thing you know, it's there, and so it's like, it's another slap, so that they don't expect.
But it's hard, isn't it? Because when I was younger, I used to laugh till it hurt.
Yeah.
You remember that when you're 15 or 16? You laugh. I had that recently. Watching the Coronation. Seriously. I wasn't going to watch it. My wife was there, and she always watches television in bed with lots of cats around. And she said, come on in. And I came in, and I sort of lay on the bed a bit like this and watched the television from not very, very close. And suddenly I thought it was a Python sketch. People in very silly costumes taking something seriously. I laughed till I hurt. I thought I hadn't done that for about 30 years. I'm glad that I wasn't actually in the cathedral.
As the next person comes. Well, it's the hats, and it's very silly when a man in the 70s is wearing a gigantic popcorn. It looks like a jeweled popcorn cup.
It's so funny, isn't it? And of course, again, I mean, some people were very touched by it. And bless them, because they think of the tradition and all that. And then naughty people like me just think it's funny. That's one of the dangers, isn't it, if you've got a sense of humor,
Well, you have, at any time, you could look at something and find it funny. And it's something out of the ordinary, and certainly something that other people don't find funny is a wonderful thing when you are not allowed to laugh.
That's the sweetest laughter of all, isn't it? In church.
Yes, in church.
I had a friend, a dear man, no longer with us, Nicky Henson, and he and his mother were going to a funeral. And she arrived with a brightly coloured hat. And he said, why are you wearing that? And she said, he said, it's all flowers, it's all wrong. And she said, well, I'm going on to a wedding. And he said, take it off, take it off. And they put it and they hid it in the vestibule, And the next time they saw the hat is when the coffin came down the aisle, the hat was on the top.
That's wonderful.
They couldn't say, can we just stop it for a moment?